So you will see that when you go towards a pitching session, you might get demotivated. They might call the script a bad script. They might tell you that it is not worth it. So don't get disappointed. Don't think that this is the end of life. Don't think that this is the only way. You can go to other investors, you can go to other producers. But if they insist that they are going to produce it, then make sure you play your game well, so that you respect your writing as well. And if you are directing it, you respect your directing as well. I mean, obviously, we can tell that they are part of our social circle, so it's okay. They are part of our friend group, so that's okay. But I think we need to respect our writing, or we need to respect our direction more than that. So we need to respect cinema as a whole more than that. Otherwise, what will happen? They will take your example, they will take your mold, and they will do it to someone else because they didn't learn a lesson from that. And the realization is the least you can expect from them. Because they are living a life of blames and excuses, They don't want to do the work. They don't want to respect writing. Why should they? If they can imitate, if they can copy, if they can steal, if they can loot the writing or the research behind that writing, backstory, research, whatever you call it. They can loot that too. And they generally do if you don't respect your writing enough. Or maybe you are ignorant. Or maybe you are believing in that gap or that illusion. You are buying that. So it can be many things. But now, by far, whatever I have discussed, I think you can understand that all these things are related. So respect your writing, respect your craft, respect your art, respect your direction. Generosity, generosity is a great thing. Humility is a great thing. Generosity is not weakness. Humility is not weakness, provided you know which environment you are working on. So understand or analyze the environment really well. Because generosity and humility, these are not weaknesses, rather strength. But depending on the environment, or maybe one specific environment where you work on, it can be a weakness. Perceived weakness mostly. But if you don't respect your writing, it can be your weakness. So blames and excuses, the selection they do, they are so-called talents. That is based on that blames and excuses only. People who do those things, people who do those blames and excuses, their selection is based on that. So you can understand, the moment you are going with a good script, or maybe with a great script, the moment you are going with a great talent, you should understand the environment as well. Because they won't do that. You have to do that for yourself. They are always thinking when they can loot your stuff, when they can steal your stuff. I mean, it's a part of the job. I won't say part of the job, part of the industry, because the industry, if you look at the industry, you will see many instances where these things happened. But it cannot be the norm. That is what I am saying. There are instances, obviously, but you cannot work in that environment in a genuine manner where this is the norm. And the people who are getting selected, they hold on to these. Can I call them values? I won't call them values. Those norms, I would say. So suppose you are doing a lot of research, sitting in the library years after years, or maybe day after day, maybe months after months. They don't value that research. They don't value that effort you have put. They don't value that you're coming up with great writing, great exploration, great discussion, maybe. They don't value that. If you are having a position, if you are having something, in the eyes of the society, then they can do that initially, but eventually you will see that there is a downward spiral as you go towards the trajectory. They are generally after those things. They are not after your talent. They are not looking for your talent. Rather, they are looking towards the exploitation of your talent, whatever it may be. Not everyone is bad, but in India, the culture is made like that nowadays. If you do that shallow stuff, if you do that stuff that fit in that mold they are trying to portray in the society, the narratives they want to create in the society, then you might earn some money. But if you are trying to do great work, you need to keep these things in mind. Now, writing as a profession or writing as a process, many people cannot withstand it, in India. So, some girls, I will say girls only, some girls, they are called muses, though they are not. They go to the good writers, some people send them to the good writers, and eventually you will see that the writer will go through a downward spiral. Now, here I am not talking about the struggle you have to go through as a writer, the emotional turmoil you have to go through as a writer, the journey you have to take as a writer. I am not talking about that. Rather, they are meant to take the writer to a downward spiral. And some other people are enjoying it. So you can understand the problem. And then there might be instances where people who used to be good writers once, they are indulging in that loot, they are indulging in that imitation, compromise and money. You will see that. You have to go through unnecessary steps, you have to go through unnecessary processes if you trust them. If you trust them, they will take you through a step, they will take you through a process, so-called process. It is not an actual process. Maybe you can learn from it, but if you stay in that process, it might be very derogatory for you if you are a genuine writer. So what do you get out of it? Compromise and money. You do the compromise and you get the money. Unless you do the compromise, you are not getting the money. The passion you have towards writing, the passion you have towards great cinema, they are after that. So these tricks and techniques ultimately will take you away from that passion, that enthusiasm with which you started. Because if you look at a movie, if you look at cinema, it starts with the script. You may have something on the paper. Can be an entire script, can be a treatment, can be some sketches, can be an idea expressed, and you can start with it, where you're jotting things down, your vision, the way you want to shoot it. So if you're compromising, you will see that you may go away from that process too. Maybe once when you wanted to be a filmmaker just out of that passion and love, you tried to create innovative scripts, you tried to write innovative scripts. Now, being conditioned in that process where you have to do a lot of compromises just for money, only for money, you have to do a lot of compromises. You are not writing those innovative scripts anymore. So how can you expect the next stages to follow? It has to start from that thing, whatever you are doing. that script or treatment. That is the starting point. When you are not having that, how can you expect to make a great movie? How can you expect to have great cinema? So we really have to focus on that writing part, the craft and art of it. Now, I have done intense research for some years. And it became more intense in some months. Great research on writing, great research on script writing. But again, you have to understand the illusion and the gap. Maybe someone close to you is telling you that that person might not be worthy of that trust or worthy of that respect you are doing or showing. But you are fighting for that person. Eventually, you find out the person is not actually worthy of that respect. They are after your research, they are after your scripts, even the so-called celebrities. This is the situation in India. Why I am mentioning this again and again? In Artist 7, you will see that if you are a young talent, a young writer, just because of that age, they think that they can steal your stuff. It is a different culture. This is not Indian culture, but they think that they can steal your stuff. If you don't have the money, but you have the ability to write a script which can make you a filmmaker eventually, or maybe a script writer eventually, they don't respect that process. When you don't have money, when you don't have that affiliation, when you are not something in the eyes of the society, they think that they can steal your script, they can steal your research. What will you do after all? You will fight for a while, then you will leave, and they will earn the money. With that mindset, you cannot have great artists, because maybe you are starting small. You believed in that writing, you believed in that script, you believed in that event where the film could have been a great success, huge success maybe. But you started with just a script, words on paper. Then you had your vision as a director. And when those two got combined, eventually you had a great movie. But in India, the situation is like that. People are not telling you all these things. They are not motivating you enough. They are not telling you the way you can make a movie yourself. It can be a great movie with a huge budget. It can be a great movie with a lot of artistic pursuits where you don't have that budget, but still it is standing its own ground in terms of art or craft. You can do that, But when all your decisions are driven by that greed or that money or that so-called success, you are not valuing the artists enough. And if I consider writers as artists, they don't consider it enough. So here in Artists Heaven, especially in the writers community or in the writers group, you can belong to any profession if you have an inclination towards writing. It is mostly for professional writers, people who want to be professional writers or screenwriters. But if you want to switch your profession, if you want to take that leap of faith based on your passion or enthusiasm for cinema, you're welcome here, as long as you're genuine about it. And we know how to test you for that. So here we will talk about stuff which you can actually use in your real life to become a better writer, to come out of that writer's block, to come up with innovative scripts, Great ideas will get a tangible form through your script, through your writing. We will do that.